Hello, everyone. Welcome to Credential Up Houston, a show that focuses on the power, the influence, the opportunity, and yes, even the wealth that can come from credentialing up. My name is Margaret Ford Fisher. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are very fortunate to have students from Meyerland Performing and Visual Arts Middle School in the audience today. This is a premier national blue ribbon school within the Houston Independent School District. Perhaps many of you remember Meyerland Performing and Visual Arts School as Johnston Middle School. Students at Johnston were admitted if they scored in the top 5% on standardized tests among all Texas middle school students. In 2016, the school's name was changed to Meyerland Performing Visual Arts Middle School. So to better reflect the school's community, this is why the name was changed. The principal is Mr. Auden Sarabia, and the instructor and school liaison joining us today with the chaperone is Ms. Vinnie Alt. Thank you so very much for coming and joining us today. Well, today we will focus on how education became the pathway to academic success for our guest. And that pathway can be the same for you as well. Our guest today is Dr. Norma Perez, Vice Chancellor of Instructional Services and Chief Academic Officer here at the Houston Community College. Dr. Perez, we're so delighted that you're here. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for the invitation.
Certainly. And of course, we're very, very happy also to have our students from the middle school who are joining us today as well, because I think this conversation will be of particular significance for them. So what I'd like to do in this segment is to use this conversation to talk about your journey to success in order to frame that conversation for our viewers about how they can then be focused and have clear-cut goals and actionable steps with milestones to lead to success. So I'd like for you to tell us about your journey.
Well, Margaret, I am a product of the Houston Independent School District, so I definitely can identify with the students that are present here today. I also come from a low-income family. My parents migrated from Mexico, and so I am a first-generation Mexican-American citizen here in the U.S. And so, as you can imagine, it was difficult for me at the very beginning because my parents spoke only Spanish, and so I grew up in a household where Spanish was the first language. And so as I remember my first days in school, it was hard trying to understand what was going on in the classroom. I did know some English because I had older brothers and sisters. We were 8 in the family, and of the 8, I was sort of in the middle. However, because of the years that we were apart, I didn't spend that much time with my older brothers and sisters. But I do recall my older brother working with me in terms of trying to make sure that, let's say, I was understanding the lessons that I was getting from school, because, of course, my parents couldn't help me with that. The one thing I think that became my motivating factor was the fact that coming from a low-income family, we struggled to make ends meet, and I told myself that was not the life I was going to have for myself. And so that was my motivating factor, and I knew that the way to do that was through education. And so as I continue my journey in education, I always looked for an individual, which always turned out to be a teacher, that was the one person that kept me focused and kept me motivated in terms of being successful despite some of the obstacles that I encountered. Not having the support that I would have wanted to have at home. I know that my dad worked very hard. My mom was an at-home mom. And what I learned from my dad was just the ethics in terms of work. I learned from him that you went to work every day because your employer was expecting you to be there, and I don't recall the time that he ever stayed home. But he did work for the railroad all of his years and retired from the railroad many, many years ago.
Your story is so profound and so compelling. And obviously, you found the why. You decided that you wanted to have a better life, and so you knew that education was going to be the pathway to help get you there. You made reference to the support system that you had. What were those actionable steps that you took along the way?
Well, I know that there were areas that I had difficulty with academically, and so it was being able to identify with teachers that I felt that I could approach, because they came across as being approachable, because some were not, and so it was I had to decide which ones I know would support it and which ones would not support me. But part of that was them recognizing my strengths, and when they recognized my strengths, then it became easier for me to relate to them, because they would acknowledge those strengths. For example, when I was in elementary school, my teachers would select me to be the leader. At that point, if you recall, we used to get in line to walk to the cafeteria for lunch, and so somebody was always selected to take the lead, and so some of my teachers started giving me that responsibility. In addition to that, they would step out of the classroom. They usually would pick somebody to be in charge, take names, and tell me what happened when I come back. And so again, I was being selected to do those kinds of things. And to me, that helped build my confidence, and it definitely helped me understand that, or begin to see that what I wanted to do was also be a leader, and be able to take control and make a difference. And so that began to shape my desire to get into education.
And that, of course, is a message that more viewers need to capture and to act on. It's a matter of that validation that you initially start getting from others, and then it becomes self-validation as you start moving toward your goals. Well, this is going to be a continuing conversation that we have. We're going to take a break, and when we return, Dr. Perez, we're going to talk about your leadership role here in your new position at HCC. So please stay with us.
HCC. So many degrees, so little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
I've seen people's lives change just by attending a class at HCC.
Some of them might not have the financial means to go to a four-year university. That doesn't make them any less quote-unquote smart than the kids who go to a four-year school.
HCC is easy to get to. It's easy to apply and easy to become a part of.
It gave me so much confidence.
Once you finish your 2 years there, you can transition into a four-year university or go into the workforce.
It's affordable, it's accessible, it changes lives.
HCC. So many ways to learn, so little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
Welcome back to Credential Up Houston. I'm delighted today that we're having a conversation with Dr. Norma Perez, the Vice Chancellor of Instructional Services and Chief Academic Officer here at the Houston Community College. In the first segment, Dr. Perez, you made reference to being a first-generation college student. And this is, of course, very, very important to acknowledge, because so many of the students who come to the community college, of course, are the first generation college students for their families. So in your new leadership role, that creates a heightened sense, not only of sensitivity, but of the services and support systems that are provided for our students. So I'd like for you to tell us about the range of and the role of your new position as Vice Chancellor and Chief Academic Officer in order to meet our students where they are.
Well, Margaret, you know that as the Vice Chancellor for Instructional Services, I oversee all of the instruction that goes on in this institution. And having taught the Student Success course, I know the type of student that comes to HCC, which many of them are first generation. Many of them are not quite academically prepared. Many of them don't have the support systems at home that they need to be successful. So one of the things that I'm focusing on as the Vice Chancellor is to, number one, look at the rigor and quality of our academic instruction. To me, that's number one and in the forefront. And then in order to meet our students where they are, it's also working with our faculty to begin to provide students with additional support that they may need, that they know what the resources are so that they can properly direct students in that direction. You know, one of the things that we have implemented is the early alert system, which is to assist faculty in terms of trying to get some, trying to intervene with our students before they get to the point where they were no longer successful in that course. So by using that system, then an advisor is alerted or a counselor is alerted that the student needs some form of intervention. And what should that intervention be? Should it be tutoring? Should it be some one-on-one counseling? Should it be additional support in the classroom? You know, it may be personal matters. You may have some issues at home in terms of housing or issues with their food. You know, we all know now that it's not just about academic struggles that they may have, but it's also what's going on outside the home. And so we are trying to make an effort to begin to address those areas.
And of course, you're right. Many times we have students in the classroom and we assume that they should be ready to learn. But if there are a host of other issues that they are grappling with and trying to work their way through, then that's where the difficulty comes, and many of the students might be inclined to drop out. So those support systems and those services are indeed critically important. And so as we look at the students that we have and who come to us, many have said every student should be able to succeed. It's a matter of finding out what the goals, what the aspirations are, and then providing the support that those students need. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, you know, I wouldn't be in education if I didn't believe that. That was the reason that I am in education, and that is something that I do tell faculty when I have conversations with them. You know, we're in education because we believe that every student can be successful. Whether we're going to attain that, maybe we're going to lose a couple. But our goal, our expectation should be that every student who walks through our doors is going to achieve whatever goal they have set for themselves. And our goal is to provide them whatever intervention they may need to help them be successful. That's why we've implemented tutoring, we've implemented supplemental instruction, we've implemented peer mentoring. We're going to increase that program with the idea again that our students, every student has a different need. And what is that best intervention that will help that student be successful?
And you know, it's so critically important, and we think about the vast array of students, the younger students, the older students, the working adults, the homebound students, et cetera. I'm so delighted that you and the Chancellor and the Chairman of the Board and Vice Chair were so actively engaged to move us toward the fully online degrees and certificates. And the Chancellor launched 32 fully online degrees to make that access available to the total community. So that's really commendable as well. So that means that HCC now is definitely 24/7 in terms of making educational programs and higher educational attainment levels available for the entire community. And so I commend you on that and moving that agenda forward. So as we look at those agreements, are there others that we can focus on as well as we look at helping to provide the educational degrees, the upward mobility on jobs, changing that paradigm in so many families where first-generation students now have children who are coming from college-educated families? What are your thoughts about that?
You know, HCC's been working on developing some great pathways. And when we talk about pathways, we're talking about pathways starting with the high schools. And as you know, we provide quite a bit of dual credit through all of our high schools. We have what we call early college high schools, which are students who will complete their high school graduation along with an associate degree. in preparation for them to transfer on to a four-year school. So we're working with the schools, high schools, beginning to reach out to the middle schools to make them aware of the opportunities that are available to them. Because again, education is the key. In addition to that, we've also done some downstreaming. We have some excellent partners with the universities, four-year universities. Some of the examples we have is we have the engineering program, where students can actually complete a four-year engineering degree on one of our campuses, which is our A-Leaf campus. We have a partnership with UT Tyler, who provides the upper level courses for the engineering degree. Most recently, we started also a partnership with Stephen F. Austin University in Nacogdoches. We started a program with our interior design students. So now our interior design students now can complete their education on our campus.
Great, and these partnerships are vital. Business and industry partnerships, university partnerships, all of the stakeholders can be involved as we move towards 60 by 30. What we're going to do, Dr. Perez, in the next segment is talk about the success of HCC in all of the metrics associated with reclaiming America's dream. So we'll be right back.
HCC. So many careers, so little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
We have academic programs that help students get from high school into a university. And the data is very clear that students that take the path of a community college finish in far higher numbers than students that start straight into a university experience. Our students can achieve a baccalaureate degree in multiple fields from the universities in the area without ever leaving Houston Community College.
HCC. So many locations, so little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
Welcome back to Credential Up Houston. We have students here from a very, very dynamic middle school, and you'll hear more from them in just a few moments. But we have a conversation with Dr. Norma Perez, Chief Academic Officer and Vice Chancellor of Instructional Services here at the Community College, Houston's Community College. And one of the things that we want to touch on is how HCC has been moving toward achieving those goals that are part of reclaiming America's dream. That is a part of the American Association Commission on Community Colleges for the 21st Century. You touched on academic rigor and integrity. That was one of the areas. Would you care to add any additional information to that? Because I know that's very important for you, Dr. Perez.
Right, I think that we have to be sure that when our students leave the institution, that they definitely have required quality instruction as they move forward. So in order to ensure that, we need to make sure that rigor and effective teaching is at the forefront.
Excellent. Student access and success.
Student access and success is the #1 priority that this institution has at this point. As you know, we are beginning to reach out now to the middle schools, even elementary schools, in terms of what opportunities they have available to them. We have several ways of where students can access HCC. As you are aware, we have our adult education and literacy programs. We have our English as a second language programs. We have our continuing education, short-term training programs. Again, there's a lot of opportunities for students to begin to access higher education and accessing it where they are. And HCC working to bring them through the pipeline to help them again achieve whatever goals they've set for themselves. If they want to go to a four-year school, then we're going to help them get there. Of course, with they're going to do the work, we're going to do the guidance, and we're committed to moving them through the pipeline and helping them become productive citizens of the city of Houston.
Very good. Another item mentioned by America's Promise is completion rates. And of course, we're working in that area as well to ensure, as you said, that students complete and that they are able to move on to a four-year institution.
Correct. That continues to be a #1 goal also of this institution, because we have several students that come to us, and some of them decide to leave before they complete their plan. So we're beginning to reach out to those individuals to try to see what are the reasons for leaving. Could we as an institution have done something differently to keep them in the pipeline?
Excellent point. Pathways. Those guided pathways were listed as well as one approach to achieving America's Promise.
Correct. And the state has also recognized that pathways is important. More recently, they have now indicated that for every dual credit student we have in the pipeline, they must identify what is their certificate or what is their degree goal. Again, it's all about guided pathways. And so again, every student now has a defined goal that they are pursuing based on their interests.
Okay. Workforce preparation. This is key as well.
Right. Workforce, as you know, HCC produces a lot of the workforce for the city of Houston. And so we must be on target in terms of the skills that our students are leaving the institution with. And one of the things that we do is we definitely get involved with industry. There is not a program that does not have industry representation within its program. Industry is what guides us, guides our curriculum. It's what keeps us on track. It's what lets us know what's forthcoming in the industry so that we are prepared to ensure that our students have the skills that are going to be required to be successful in the workforce.
You mentioned collaboration between schools. And so I'd like to ask you to touch on that briefly and then discuss community support, which was the last item mentioned by AACC. The collaboration between schools with the partnerships.
But the collaboration with our schools is very important with the four-year schools. Right now, we just implemented a BSN program with the University of Houston downtown. Again, it's to provide that seamless transition from one institution to the other. The goal, again, is to help our students understand that if they want to continue their education, they can do so, and that we do it in a way that is much more economical. Because by being here, then taking those courses here, then of course it's going to be a little bit more or less expensive for them.
Absolutely. And then finally, community support. This is being done through the Houston Connect, Houston Promise, as well as all of the other initiatives.
That is correct. Mm-hmm. And we need the community support. Without that community support, again, that's the outreach that we have in this institution. So they help guide students in our direction to help them be successful.
Excellent points, Dr. Perez. We are going to take a break. And when we return, we will go to our studio audience. And so we ask you to please stay with us.
HCC. So many classes, so little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
I don't know an industry today that doesn't rely on some amount of coding to run their business. Coding is the 21st century equivalent of the English language. And our particular flavor of this is the iOS Coding and Design School. And Apple's been very supportive and in fact joined with us to roll out the start of this Swift programming initiative. So it's a great opportunity to combine creativity with science and technology, contributing to this app economy.
HCC. So many reasons, so little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
welcome back to Credential Up Houston. We'll now go to Frank Cooper and our studio guest. Frank?
Thank you, Dr. Ford Fisher. We have a question from Sadie.
How do I get a mentor who would help me pursue my career goals?
Well, my advice to you would be to, number one, consult with your counselor and see whether there's an opportunity for you to shadow someone in a career that you might be interested in. That would be one way. The other is sometimes your own faculty, your teachers, can serve as your mentor. The key to keep in mind is that it has to be someone that you feel very comfortable with, that you can be honest with, and really talk about what are some of your concerns, some of the fears that you may have that you have not discussed with anyone else. So a mentor is an individual that can really guide you in terms of what the expectations are in any specific career.
We now have a question from Layla.
How do you build a network of support?
The network of support can come by many means. One of them can be your own classmates, that they can become a network of support for you. Others can be your counselors and your teachers. So it has to do a lot with communication, letting people know what it is that you want to do, what's your goal, and getting some advice in terms of how do you achieve doing that. So anytime you have an opportunity where there's, for example, if being in this audience, you have an opportunity to network with the Vice Chancellor of Instructional Services as well as the President of the online college. There are also other individuals here that you can see they might be in a field that you might be interested in. So again, wherever you find yourself, being able to extend yourself, introduce yourself, and let them know what is it that you're interested in and how they might be able to help.
We now have a question from Glenn.
How can we get teachers to come to our schools to tell us about career options?
The fastest way is to let your counselor know. First of all, that you are interested in wanting to know about Houston Community College. HCC is starting to reach out to the schools. So I'm hoping that your school is in our schedule of events. HCC does attend all of the college nights that are held in the high schools. And again, HCC is making an effort now to also begin to talk to middle school students. So if you'll just talk to your counselor can arrange for a representative from HCC to come to your school or even to your class. We have faculty that love to discuss their field of interest. That's why they're in the teaching program, and so they will be more than delighted to come out to your school. Indeed. And talk about the careers.
They will be, and I'd like to thank Frank Cooper and the students for the questions and facilitating those. What we'd like to do now is to get closing comments from you, Dr. Perez. Any additional suggestions or recommendations that you'd like to make to our students or viewers listening and viewing this program?
Well, I think the one message I would like to leave is that it's never too late. If you want to pursue an education, HCC is the institution, can help you achieve whatever goal you desire to achieve. It may be difficult at the beginning, but I think that once you get started, then it'll be easy. We will provide you the guidance that you need in order to be successful as you move through your goals here at HCC. So don't give up. Continue, set a goal for yourself, and come visit us at HCC. We have an open door policy, and we have open arms ready to receive you.
And yes, we do. Dr. Perez, thank you so very much for joining us today. Such pearls of wisdom, and we do appreciate you for that. And of course, we thank our students for joining us today as well. And we hope that you found this program to be very informative. And we ask that you make it a priority to credential up. Thank you.